The Defence Minister Richard Marles and his Japanese counterpart, Minister Koizumi, have held a ceremonial gathering here on the deck of a Mogami-class frigate. This is Australia's next generation of warships, and today the two countries are celebrating the fact that they've signed a contract to deliver the first three of these new vessels, which will in some ways form the backbone of the new Australian Navy. This is an immensely important deal for Australia, even though some of the details are not yet entirely clear. The government is believed to be spending about $10 billion or so on the first three ships. The next 8 are set to be built in Western Australia, although that isn't part of the contract which has been signed. This is not just a commercial arrangement, it's also a strategic one. The government insists this is all about capability with a side benefit when it comes to the strategic side, but there's no doubt that there are also clear defence and strategic obligations and implications from this, because Australia is stating that it sees Japan not just as a critical strategic ally, but also as a country which it trusts sufficiently to entrust a project of this magnitude with. And the fact that Australia and Japan are not just allies in all but name, but also increasingly defence partners which can trust one another with projects of this scale, magnitude and consequence, does signal something important about where the relationship is going.
This is the third time this year that Minister Koizumi and I have met, which reflects how important our relationship is. As I've said on a number of occasions, there is no country in the world with whom we have a greater strategic alignment than Japan. That in turn is underpinned by complete trust, and the value of that is particularly felt given the circumstances in the world today. The signing of the Mogami Memorandum, which we have just done now, will deepen defence industry cooperation between our two nations, specifically in the development of this critical capability for the Royal Australian Navy and also for Japan.
Of course, there are still plenty of questions here. Australia's promise that it will build the last 8 of the 11 here in Australia has been greeted with a level of scepticism from some analysts who say they are not convinced that Australia's industrial base will be ready to take on a task of this complexity and magnitude in the 2030s. But Australia believes it can not only bear down its relationship with Japan, acquire a frigate which will give it the capability it needs over the future, but that it can also build up Australia's domestic ability and shipbuilding capacity sufficiently that it can produce ships of this complexity well into the future. A big day in the bilateral relationship between Australia and Japan, but also a big day for the future of Australia's Navy.